Thurman Thomas of Oklahoma State. It's the first selection made by the Buffalo Bills.
Thomas slid to the second round of the draft because of questions about his knee. But in his 8 seasons in Buffalo, he's been named to 5 Pro Bowls. And last year, for the 7th straight season, Thurman Thomas ran for over 1,000 yards.
So we remember that moment so clearly from '88. I'm not sure who that young man was hosting the draft at that point, but we are sure that this is a young man that's disappointed right now in Leland McElroy, but Thurman Thomas went mid-second, and he has never looked back. Kansas City has made their pick. Let's go up to the podium now and see what the team with the best record in football last year at 13-3 is going to do.
With the 28th selection in the draft,
it's a fumble.
The Kansas City Chiefs have selected Jerome Woods, defensive back from Memphis. Pittsburgh is on the clock.
Jerome Woods is safety type, Mel, for Kansas City, which they really did not have a glaring need except kicker, and they've signed about 8 of them, including one of our favorites, Bjorn Nitmo. But you like this pick in Woods?
Yeah, I thought they might go Lawyer Malloy, so I was thinking safety as well. And, of course, you look at Jerome Woods. He has a good size. He's an outstanding tackler. I thought he was one of the best open field tacklers available in the draft from the defensive secondary. See how he creeps up? And this is playing the option. He gets off the block and makes the tackle. His ability to locate the football and make the play and the tackle, and also in coverage, moves pretty well. Pretty good closing speed. So you're looking at a pure safety. And, of course, Marty Schottenheimer, even going back to those days in Cleveland with Eric Turner, he's utilized the safeties heavily, and you see the Woods here coming through with another big play in coverage. And I think the productivity of Woods was outstanding at Memphis. For a team that didn't get a lot of national recognition, he was a standout performer. And, of course, Lawyer Malloy from Washington, the other top defensive back from the safety position.
Well, the other thing you have to look at is that's one of the areas on the Kansas City football team where they are a little bit long into tooth. When you look at the depth chart, you got Dale Carter, you look at their interceptions, Brian Washington, William White, James Hasty, Darren Anderson, and John Taylor. Mark Collins is retired. Hasty and Washington are both 31 years old. Carter is 26. When I talked to the Kansas City Chiefs, the one thing that they said, they're very happy with their 22. What they're looking for is depth. And again, I don't think you can't really have enough cover safeties, people who can run and get the ball, as well as corners. Carl Peterson continues to just find ways to put people on his roster that will be able to keep this football team solid in case somebody gets hurt. Does a great job of being prepared for the future.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are another team that's done a good job of building their ball club. Obviously, they feel they could have won the Super Bowl. It's Pittsburgh and Dallas now at 29-30. Now, again, as you heard us report, Mark Malone and others, Hank Goldberg, the Bettis trade to Pittsburgh is not yet finalized, but that'll obviously sway whether they would go for a Mike Alstott of Purdue or not. If they're going to get Bettis, that wouldn't be what they would do. Would they go McElroy, although they already have Pegram? Now, we're going to go back and discuss the Chiefs pick with Andrea, or we're going to wait on this? All right, we're going to stay right here. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they've lost their quarterback. They may have lost, depending on how the court situation goes with Bam Morris, they may have lost him, a big back that they have relied on. Yep. Of course, they lost their offensive coordinator, Ron Earhart. They've lost some things. They're a very solidly built football team if they get Bettis. Now, where do you look if you're the Steelers, Joe?
Well, I don't necessarily think if you get Bettis. I think Jim Miller, they feel like can play. If that's not a problem, you have Cordell Stewart. If that's a problem, you've got Mike Tomczak to go in and fill for a little bit. They're okay at the quarterback position. Obviously, when you lose a starter who takes you to the Super Bowl, there is a loss there, but I think they're okay. At running back, I really feel like that Bam Morris may not be able to play the season. If that's the case, he didn't come on, just played real well at the end of the year. They've acquired Will Wolford. They've acquired Gaffney. John Vaughn, we talked about that earlier. Boomer, you just don't know. They waived John L. I personally think here you go after a fullback. It fits into what the Pittsburgh Steelers want to do. Alstott, to me, would be an excellent choice because he not only can block for you, which is a big part of it, but he can hammer and make holes. That way Pegram doesn't have to take the beating. And I really feel like Chan Gailey's probably going to go back to maybe a little bit less wide open offense and give Cordell a chance to play a little bit more quarterback. So there's a lot of ways for him to go. I think it'll be running back, though, whichever direction they decide or whoever they want to take.
Well, Joe, here's the way we're going to go. Let's go to a man very close to the Steelers situation, our Mark Malone, who's at Jets headquarters. Mark, your thoughts. Would it be Alstott if Bettis isn't there? Do you do it anyway? What would you do?
Well, I know this, Chris, that they would have taken either Leland McElroy or Mike Alstott if he was on the board. But I'm telling you, the deal that they've got right now to get Bettis, I think, takes them out of that plan. So you have to wonder if they're scratching their head. Could have had two very good young players at running back. Now, another guy that the Steelers like was Brackett, the linebacker. They need to get some linebacker depth. So do you go with Brackett right now, or do you go to an offensive lineman? Another place they need depth, of course, they lost Leon Searcy, a kid I know they like a lot. It's a kid by the name of Jermaine Stevens out of North Carolina A&T. This kid is 6'5 and a half, 337. A lot of people believe this guy could be the next Eric Williams, like the Pro Bowler out of Dallas. Chris, back to you.
All right, Mark, we won't have to wait long to see what the Steelers are going to do. Let's go up to the podium in Gene, Washington. Steelers. Now we have the commissioner back. You get the Super Bowl teams, you get the commissioner back.
With the 29th pick in the first round, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Jermaine Stevens, tackle, North Carolina A&T.
Now there's a direct hit for Mark Malone.
Dallas is now on the clock.
You have a Jermaine and a Jermaine, who are both small college tackles, but big guys. I mean, how can you be 325 pounds? How can they possibly have training tables at these small colleges to get them up to 325, 330 pounds? But offensive line, hammering type of football, it adds up. And now the Dallas Cowboys are on the board with the final pick of the first round. Terrible towels and the Cowboys are back.
Sometimes life is an uphill battle. Handle it. Dunlop Tires.
Sports is big business. You already know that. But see how major athletes team with big corporations to market themselves into global enterprises on an all-new Outside the Lines. Sports Inc. Monday at 7:30 p.m. Only on ESPN.
Oh, your stomach is about in your throat, you know, and your heartbeat is about bazillion pumps per second.
People talk about butterflies, but it's like in a knot before the game. Somehow you got to calm yourself down. You know that the ball is coming.
The fans in the stands are just going crazy, pointing fingers, saying you're going to fall.
You got to be real physical. You got to be intense. Because if you aren't, you're not going to survive.
The linebackers, they all looking at you, and the eyes are big.
I can't outrun the other guys on that field, but somehow I find a way to do it.
You can't be thinking about anything else except just putting the ball through the uprights.
I like to be in the tough situations when everything is on the line.
It's like going through 15 car wrecks in one day.
It all comes down to power. It really does.
It takes over your whole body.
It's the best feeling ever.
I can feel it. I can feel it pumping through my veins.
I can feel it coming at me. I can feel it pulling on me.
I can feel the power. Come play with us for about a week and see what you think about it. Just see what you think about it. Sweet dream, baby. Sweet dream, baby. Sweet dream, baby. How long must I dream?
Sweet dreams from Doubletree.
Now there's a global company that can help you reach overseas markets as if they were right next door. A company that can speed packages across the Atlantic or the Pacific for less than you'd probably pay to send them across town. The U.S. Postal Service introduces Global Priority Mail. Around the country and around the world, no one delivers like the U.S. Postal Service.
This ESPN special, the 1996 NFL Draft, is brought to you by Doubletree Hotels and Guest Suites. The the official hotel sponsor of the NFL and proud provider of Sweet Dreams.
As we return to the NFL draft here in New York, the Dallas Cowboys have about 11 minutes to make a pick and wrap up a first round that's